Well, hello there and welcome back, everyone. We are here doing the lessons of A Course in Miracles, and today we're doing lesson 28. And as you can see, I'm back home in Florida after an amazing Channeling Jesus retreat in Costa Rica. I brought my notebook, so I have a couple notes that I'll share with you after we run through today's lesson, because I think it's an alternative way to apply the lesson after you do what the instructions say to do for your practice periods today. So without further ado, let's jump in. Lesson 28 of A Course in Miracles. Above all else, I want to see things differently. So we're just adding one little word and a whole nother explanation from yesterday. So I hope yesterday went well for you. I really was able to call upon that statement, above all else, I want to see, so many times, and it really came naturally and effortlessly. I did go a few hours without thinking about it, but then when it started to come in the evening hours, it just kept coming. So it worked out well for me, and I hope it went well for you. And if not, it's okay. Don't judge. All right, above all else, I want to see things differently. Today, we are really giving specific application to the idea for yesterday. In these practice periods, you'll be making a series of definite commitments. The question of whether you will keep them in the future is not our concern here. If you are willing at least to make them now, you have started on the way to keeping them. And we are still at the beginning. You may wonder why it is important to say, for example, above all else, I want to see this table differently. In itself, it is not important at all. Yet, what is by itself? And what does in itself mean? You see a lot of separate things about you, which really means you are not seeing at all. You either see or not. When you have seen one thing differently, you will see all things differently. The light you will see in any one of them is the same light you will see in them all. When you say, above all else, I want to see this table differently, you are making a commitment to withdraw your preconceived ideas about the table and open your mind to what it is and what it is for. You are not defining it in past terms. You are not asking what it is, rather telling it what it is. You are not binding its meaning to your tiny experience of tables, nor are you limiting its purpose to your little personal thoughts. You will not question what you have already defined. Ooh. And the purpose of these exercises is to ask questions and receive answers. In saying, above all else, I want to see this table differently, you are committing yourself to seeing. It is not an exclusive commitment. It is a commitment that applies to the table just as much to anything else, neither more or less. You could, in fact, gain vision from just that table if you would withdraw all your own ideas about it and look upon it with a completely open mind. It has something to show you, something beautiful and clean and of infinite value, full of happiness and hope, hidden under all your ideas about its real purpose, the purpose it shares with all the universe. In using the table as a subject for applying the idea for today, you are therefore really asking to see the purpose of the universe. You will be making this same request of each subject that you use in the practice periods, and you are making a commitment to each of them to let its purpose be revealed to you instead of placing your own judgment upon it. We will have 6 2-minute practice periods today in which the idea for the day is stated first and then applied to whatever you see about you. Not only should the subjects be chosen randomly, but each one should be accorded equal sincerity as today's idea is applied to it, in an attempt to acknowledge the equal value of them all in their contribution to your seeing. As usual, the application should include the name of the subject your eyes happen to light on, and you should rest your eyes on it while saying, above all else, I want to see this smartphone differently. Each application should be made quite slowly, as thoughtfully as possible. There is no hurry. So right before I turned the camera on here, I looked up at a painting on the wall and I looked at it for 2 minutes. And it's funny because you kind of say, above all else, I want to see this painting differently. And you still have like a minute and a half. So I don't know, set a timer and see about that little awkward silence. So above all else, we want to see whatever differently. And hopefully when you do your 6 practice periods today, or however many you have left, presumably some of you have already started, hopefully you find other things to kind of rest your vision on, or maybe you're not at home and you're in somewhere that you usually don't go. And you can actually take that time, that whole 2 minutes, if you can, to let that idea sink in and see if anything changes or if any realizations come today. Please feel free to share. So there was so much that came through at the retreat, and I'm really kind of in an integration period and kind of wanting to like just kind of keep everything inside as I alchemize and start doing some of the work that we were asked to do during the retreat to set ourselves up for moving forward and maintaining that extremely high vibration of unconditional love that we were just swimming in the whole time. So I will say that a couple of themes that we hear quite often in the channeling, whether it's Jesus, Ananda, the Arcturians, Zena Allen, we had some guest channelers at the retreat, and there was a Jesus and Mary Magdalene combination that came through. So there's a similar theme that's always look at yourself, dear ones. And so if you want to apply today's lesson to anything I'm saying, above all else, I want to see myself differently, right? But please, stick to the lessons of just looking at an object and letting it soak in that way. But I think, your thoughts can also be slipped in there, and in that case, it kind of brings it to the attention of Jesus and the Holy Spirit to help correct and do a little tweaking and reframing and cleaning the lens for you. So one thing that I think was a theme that came out of this, because we were all given a homework assignment about our passions and our interests and how can we orient our life towards putting more energy toward those things as we transition into the next phase. Your passions and interests are moving you on a particular path. So I think a lot of us kind of fight with our egos about what we think we should be doing, because maybe we have all these qualifications and experiences, and we said that this was going to be the thing that we do for our whole lives. Maybe we're not allowing ourselves to diversify and explore some of our less experienced passions and interests. So we incarnated with a particular journey in mind, and we could be talked out of that by our ego and by whatever the programming and conditioning of our society and our upbringing and the educational path we chose, for instance. It might actually be a direction that's not something we're passionate about. So just make sure you're taking a look at what it is that you're doing with your time and your energy, and is it time to break free from that? Do something that challenges you and keep it to yourself. So this example, this was really cool. So we were in Costa Rica, and it was very hot and humid there. And there are some ladies who like to have their hair straightened and kind of like be in makeup and stuff like that, like before they go out for the day or go on camera or what have you. So there were a lot of people that were super bohemian, natural, and letting things just be as they were. And that was kind of a big step for some people. So maybe for you, it could be maybe when you're on vacation, you dress a certain way, or you wear your jewelry a certain way, or something that's a little like one-off from your normal, day-to-day personality or the way you express in your body. The guidance was to keep it to yourself, but change something about your appearance or your disposition, maybe even your attitude, the way you talk to people, and just see how that feels. Experiment with that. We were told by the Arcturians that we have incarnated into one of the most difficult assignments in the universe. An incarnation on Earth is one of the most difficult assignments in the universe. So never forget that. And that we are leaders in our society because we're choosing to deviate from a lot of the norms when it comes to how we understand the world from a spiritual perspective, from a metaphysical perspective. A lot of us are leaving our corporate jobs that were just sort of like what we thought was our slice of life. and we're changing and evolving into something very different than what you would call the norm. And a lot of us are experiencing rejection and some abandonment from our friends and family, and we're still going anyway. So by doing that, you are a leader, and you are showing people that stepping away from the ego's thought system and more towards that higher minded, unconditionally loving life path is true success and is making you happy. And by you doing that and, you know, being a role model to people, you're making a huge difference and being an incredible leader. So never forget that. Another point that I wanted to make is that a definition of programming was suggested that I really liked, because we do use that word a lot, conditioning and programming. Programming is a reflection of the belief in your powerlessness. So I think a lot of times we take that word programming as if there's this bad guys, you know, the cabal, the media, whoever, right? The reptilians, like they're doing something to us. They're programming us. But really what's happening is our programming is just reflecting our own belief in our powerlessness. Because truth be told, we don't have to go along with programming, right? And now that we're all kind of waking up to other options and other things to believe in, we realize that. And it's easier to stand tall, proud in your truth, and that's you being powerful. And yet we're also embodying these traits of teachers of God, like defenselessness and generosity and humility and all those other types of things. So we're teaching a new power for sure in our being, and the more honest we are about our belief system and, you know, how these teachings have changed us. But we have to understand programming as something that isn't being done to us. It's just this illusory world reflecting a very deep, hidden, unconscious belief that we have in our own powerlessness, which is simply not true. So moving forward in today, you could take that on too. You could say, above all else, I want to see my belief in my own powerlessness differently. Just a thought. So take some of those in today as you do your lesson, and thank you so much for joining me and watching me. Thank you to all my new friends that are on the channel, everyone who I met in Costa Rica who's now on board. Thank you. I love you. I'm so glad that you're here. I'm wearing my Costa Rica shirt with my little happy monkey. Such a great time. So many great memories. I definitely would encourage everyone to join Tina's Channeling Jesus community. Carol Morgan also has a community because she channels Xena, who is a blue avian being. And we have this huge group of people that are so supportive, so loving, and eager to stay connected and support each other as we continue to move forward during the ascension process. So I'm glad you're here. I'm glad we're all coming together, and I'm looking forward to our Zoom on January 30th at 7 p.m. I hope you can make it. And until next time, enjoy your day, and I'll see you back for the next lesson.